Angelo's saying, let's go trade Demko. What's the wait? I was going to do some foreshadowing. I was going to give you a little segue. But is this where we're going? Is this like the Rutherford and Alvin special? Like, I know Miller got traded, but he asked for a trade. Is this the whoa? I didn't see that coming. And considering like Arturs Silovs did what he did yesterday, like, I don't know, like, are the Canucks considering it just because they need a lot of help and Silovs is like, a cost-controlled asset for a bit? Demko Papalitis, like, we already signed Lankinen. Is Demko the odd man out? It kind of seems like that.
I certainly think there's a chance, right? And Kyle, we've talked about it before. I think Kevin Lankinen is the least likely goaltender to get traded of the Canucks 3 netminders. But it was interesting, just talking to a couple of guys at the Abbotsford Canucks game in Game 4, a couple of insiders, I'll say a couple of guys that know a thing or two more than me. And one of the points they made is, maybe pump the brakes on Silovs' value. Like, this guy could still get through waivers. And I'm going, really? After everything he did? But Kyle, we talked about it on this show. I mean, a team that claims Arturs Silovs, if he were to go on waivers, would have to roster him right away. But regardless, the thing I go back to, if you're the Vancouver Canucks, is that's a pretty massive risk to take. Are you really going to risk sending the Calder Cup MVP down through waivers and hope he doesn't get claimed and lose that asset? That just seems to me like a risk that you don't take if you're a smart organization. So the more I think about it, because Silovs' value, I mean, I think we really value him here in Vancouver. A lot of the fans value him. But we ran the poll, should the Canucks trade Demko or Silovs? 2/3 of you said trade Demko. And I think the argument's key, right? He's got probably more value on the trade market. He's older. He's a little bit more fragile. And Silovs has some pretty good potential. I'm still a pretty big Demko believer in this market, but just from an asset management standpoint, it certainly seems like there's a good chance that the Canucks trade Thatcher Demko here. And again, I think it's fair to start talking about the return a little bit. We talked about Tyson Forster on yesterday's episode too, and maybe Silovs being involved in that trade. Could that be a trade where Demko is involved? Because I think Philly is just a really interesting team right now in the sense that, they're not really a seller. They want to build for the future, but they absolutely need goaltending. Their goaltending was some of the worst.
Is not going to Philadelphia. Demko probably, and I want to bring that up. I thought of a crazy trade scenario. Okay, go ahead, Trevor. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll say quickly. Again, just from talking to a couple guys at the Abbotsford Canucks game around the rink, they said one thing to watch for is, again, Ian Clark is still employed by the Canucks. He's not really doing much for the team, but he's still under the books. If he were to go to Philadelphia, I was told that really watch for Arturs Silovs to be potentially going to Philadelphia if Ian Clark were to go there. He's got 1 year left on his contract with the Canucks. Really, the sticking point, the reason why he's still with the Canucks is a lot of other teams don't want to pay him what he's worth, which is, a few $100,000 is his contract right now. So watch out for Ian Clark's movement, because that could potentially dictate where Arturs Silovs goes, because Ian Clark apparently is historically been one of the biggest believers in Arturs Silovs, and one of the reasons why he became even a starter in Abbotsford in the first place.
Oh, yeah. And it worked. The Arturs Silovs experience has already worked. It's just a matter of, can he get better? And I'm just banking on a guy that is clutch. And I'm only considering doing this year because Demko still, for some, I guess the reason is obvious, right? Goaltending is very polarizing right now. And I also say this, I know Bobrovsky wasn't injured, but Bobrovsky sucked a couple of years ago. And now he's back to just being the best goalie in hockey. So it's such an unorthodox thing. But if a guy that you bank on has that cachet of being a Demko or Bobrovsky, can get back to form, your team's just completely different. Completely different. That's how important goaltending is. Right? And Demko could be all that for the Vancouver Canucks. But I think there's a lot to say with him still having somewhat of so much trade value, considering he barely has played in the last 13 months. And before last year, when he got nominated for the Vezina, he was always getting hurt too. But people are trying to overlook it right now and still possibly give us some value for him. And if they choose Demko over Silovs, then Demko, this sucks. But if he gets hurt again, how Canuckish does that look? Right? Crazy. How Canuckish is it for the Vancouver Canucks to lose out on a guy that's been so clutch for Team Latvia, been so clutch for the Canucks to some extent? I know his save percentage was low last year in the playoffs, but just watch the film. Like, I know the long goals went in, but this guy was trying to carry a team without Elias Pettersson and Thatcher Demko, like the third string goalie. Like, he was doing the most, and now he just won the Calder Cup MVP. Like, he has ice in his veins. You're going to trade a guy like that who actually levels up when all the pressure's on him and he's proven to play better in scenarios like that? That's kind of confusing for a team that has no playoff legacy, right? We've made it past the second round 3 times. We're going to trade a guy who's clutch? That's interesting. That's scary. Oh, why are we going to choose the other guys over him? Oh, the Kevin Lankinen's been a starter for 1 year, and Thatcher Demko's always getting hurt, but we're going to get rid of Silovs for sure. I know that organization is thinking. And the whole Demko to Philadelphia thing, that makes too much sense. It makes too much sense if there's a trade to be made. And this trade sounds stupid and crazy, but again, it's Rutherford and Alvin, and maybe if Philadelphia retains a bit, maybe the Canucks would be willing to do it. And I know Philadelphia's not that strong up the middle, but now Zegras is going to play center for them and whatnot. I wonder if there's any deal where, again, Philadelphia retains a lot. They got to retain a lot, but they get off a contract like Sean Couturier, and it's Couturier for Demko. It just comes out of nowhere. I don't like it. I'm just looking at like unorthodox moves. And I'm like, oh, injury history. Couturier's contract is really, really bad, but maybe if they retain some, like, he's a good guy. Like, he kind of like gives you like that Demko personality in the room too, a very serious hockey guy. I don't know. But
what would Philly be adding to that trade? You're just saying Couturier for Demko straight up, or is Philly attaching like another asset?
That's what I'm saying. Are they retaining? Are they throwing it in there? But could there be something there? I don't know. I'll just hey, I'm playing the game, eating some Chinese food today, and Demko to Philly talk it. They also talked about the reporter today on Sportsnet also brought up Pius Suter going to Philadelphia. That could be a thing. And does that make
love Suter? That would make sense.
Exactly. Does that make Couturier a little bit more? Trevor, I know it sounds stupid. I know it sounds crazy. I know it does. Couturier's been injured and he's getting paid like almost $8 million until like 2030, which is only like in 5 years. Like, I said, that's a long time. What am I talking about? I know it's a lot, but if they retain some, and if Rutherford and Alvin are scrambling, and they got a surplus of goaltenders,
that trade scares the crap out of me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Unless they're attaching like a Travis Konecny to that deal, I'm not sure where the value is that one for the Vancouver Canucks.
Some people said in the Discord like Demko for Konecny, right? And I was like, yo, if only Demko had. If only
this
Demko
is 2023-24 Thatcher Demko, and he finished the season and was healthy, it's a different situation. But where he is right now, he's not at that value.
Okay, but here, and this is what I was thinking about too. One up to Mike Laval. I love this. And we haven't even talked about trading Kevin Lankinen yet. But you're scared of Sean Couturier. I get it. Guy won the Selke, though, like 6 years ago, right? That's a long time. It's like half a decade ago, right? Over half a decade.
And his contract's only got 5 years to go. Yeah, it's not that long.
So I'm just saying, like, are Alvin and Rutherford getting, I don't like it, but I'm saying, are they going to get crazy? I don't know. But how about this extension for Demko? Isn't this not scary? And like, haven't we heard that the league is going to be a little different when it comes to how much LTIR lenience they give teams? Because the Oilers and Evander Kane, and maybe they've had enough of it, and the economy's like, I don't know. Who knows? But isn't giving Demko a long-term deal just as scary? He had an injury that didn't even exist. He's the first person to ever have a papalitis in the world, I think, in hockey. Isn't it scary giving him some money?
Yeah, there's a fear to it too, for sure. I think that the fear to me with Demko isn't really so much, we're going to have 13 million tied up to our goaltenders. It's the injury history, right? And there's not much you can do about that aside from just making the decision now to trade the guy, and deciding it's, again, the choice between Demko and Silovs, right? to me, having that much cap tied up in goaltenders isn't necessarily a bad thing, because for the Vancouver Canucks, the strength for them right now, theoretically, is their goaltending and their defense. And with the cap going up the way it is, you can choose to prioritize goaltending. You have the flexibility to do that. So to me, it's not the risk. Again, it's Demko or Silovs. What do the Canucks decide to do? Because I think deciding to keep all three and risk losing Silovs and waivers is just preposterous asset management. And even though I talked to some guys who think that Silovs could clear, to me, if I'm Canucks management, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. So again, let us know in the comments. We've talked about it before in our polls, but are the Canucks actually going to trade Thatcher Demko? Because it feels like steam's been picking up there. He's number 18 on the Athletics trade board as of today. And again, the Canucks need top 6 help. They got 3 goaltenders. It looks like Demko maybe is the guy to go out the door, which when you think about, Miller and Besser also being gone, it's wild times here in Vancouver. Maybe we're just getting rid of all the Americans except for Quinn Hughes.
Or maybe we're getting rid of Kevin Lankinen. Who knows? Who knows?
All right, let's go ahead.
Who knows? No, I just want to say, like, is it? And again, you were talking to the experts in the journalism room there at the Abbotsford Arena, right? Like, Silovs, even with all the success, he's not like a favorite, right? There's, well, I'm paraphrasing, but there's too many flaws, and he can never be a number one. There's that sentiment out there. Boom, bam. I don't know, but for a team that's like historically in recent history been so mediocre, like, and then having like an injury-prone goalie, and then having Kevin Lankinen only be good for 1 year, but have him at a quote unquote cost control deal. Now they have Silovs, who like is their young goalie who's been so clutch. Like it's so obvious. Like they have to. This organization, out of anyone, they have to look at all parts, not equally, but they have to put some respect on Silovs' name, because he could be just as good as Kevin Lankinen. Like, how can you not say that? He's been clutch, and last year was tough. Like in the NHL, first of all, Rick Tocchet, kind of gave up on him. It wasn't. They could. I don't know. Didn't really support him, to be honest. Like Silovs needed some help, some moral support, and Silovs was a young goalie who went into training camp knowing Demko was more hurt, had to be the number one again, and then that locker room was just hideous. Like, it was from the jump. September, Miller versus Pettersson. It already started. It just seemed as if like he'd have to be like Patrick Waugh or something to like carry the Canucks, which they needed him to do. And yeah, anyways. I guess the whole show has been in the ocean, because we've been scouring the internet and looking at some like Canucks facts that other people have been talking about. And look at this one from Noah, okay? Talking about Arturs Silovs, what he's accomplished already, okay? Trevor, this guy's got something, okay? A bronze medal at the World Hockey Championship, won the best goalie at the same tournament, 2025 Calder Cup, 2025 Calder Cup MVP. He already has 5 NHL playoff wins. And Trevor, I just want to say, man, I don't know if we're beating Nashville without Arturs Silovs, okay? I don't look at what he did in Game 6 against Nashville. He's a third-string goalie playing in the Canadian market, going up against UC Saros, and he outdueled him. The Canucks should be scared just a little bit. All these people saying like, "Oh, he may clear waivers," bro. Where are we living? Let's put some respect on Arturs Silovs' name. When the going gets tough, this guy turns into a really good goalie. Okay? Like he doesn't fold. He doesn't give me those Stuart Skinner vibes, which I know Skinner beat him in a series and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But we didn't have Pettersson. We didn't have Besser. This guy's a third-string goalie. He played McDavid and Drysdale. I think Silovs is a lot better than anyone knows. I think he has a lot of untapped potential, and he's already proven a lot in his young career. And I'm going to be scared if we choose Demko or Lankinen over him, just because I think he kind of deserved that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more you could do as a goaltender at his level. The next step for him is to be a full-time NHLer. Man, oh man, what a jam-packed show today. I think Han G in the comments, one last one I'll shout out. That should be on a t-shirt. If I were telling Pedersen to go to the gym, we have to go to the gym. That's a t-shirt that goes hard. Kyle, you were making the shirts, man. There's an idea for you.
Look at that.
Oh, damn. Okay.